Hi everyone, my name is Seonyang, also known as Yang Yang at APA Organizations, and I'm here to introduce our speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Sam Goundar. He's going to give us a talk on application of blockchain and technologies, research and practice. Dr. Sam Goundar is an international academic, having taught at 12 different universities in 10 different countries. And then he has been the editor-in-chief for many international journals, such as International Journal of Blockchains and Cryptocurrencies, and International Journal of Fog Computing, and the Journal of Education and Information Technologies. And also he has been in the editorial review board of more than 20 high impact factor journals. So he's going to give us a talk on blockchain technologies, application of blockchain technologies in terms of research and practice, both of them. So welcome, Dr. Sam Goundar.
Thank you, Yang Yang. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen and get started.
Yes, go ahead.
Is everyone able to hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
All right, so here we go. So are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, and probably you want to see me as well.
Yes, now.
Okay. All right, so let me put this in the show mode. Still good?
Yes, still good. Oh, we just, the screen share just stopped.
Okay, let me try again. Where is the share here? Probably it might not work in the show mode, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it works now.
But when I go for presentation mode, yeah?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, all good. So what I'm going to talk about today is application of blockchain technologies in domains aside from cryptocurrency, because the blockchain technology started with the Bitcoins, the underlying technology that was making Bitcoin do whatever it was doing, and other cryptocurrencies that came back later on. How the technology can be used in other domains, other disciplines and fields apart from finance, apart from cryptocurrency. So what I'm going to do is I'll start off by informing and just a brief introduction to blockchain technologies and what it is, how it started, and what it does. I'll try to not, what I've done is I've ensured that this presentation is not too technical, so that everyone is able to understand and get out what is there. I mean, if there is a requirement for more technical presentation, which I can do later. So what my emphasis is on other application of blockchain technologies, as I said, apart from cryptocurrencies, give you examples of blockchains that is being used in real world examples. And one of the reasons why we need to take blockchains seriously and why we need to focus on blockchains. I'll talk about my current blockchain research focus and talk about some other potential blockchain research ideas, and then multidisciplinary blockchain research ideas. And then we'll end up with any comments, questions, and answers. Right. So brief introduction to blockchain technologies, how it all started, and we are all aware of that famous anonymous person known as Satoshi Nakamoto that wrote a white paper that said how we could do transactions, monetary transactions, without using a third party such as banks. And what happened there was that, it was during the time of the 2008 global financial crisis, when major banks had lost money of all their customers, and the customers went to the bank next day and they were told that there is no money there, all the savings are gone, they have nothing left. And that got people thinking that can we really trust our banking sector to keep our money safe? And is it possible to remove a third party and do transactions with each other directly, that is peer-to-peer financial transactions? And that's where this white paper came up with a concept, a technology where you can use encryption, where you can use cryptography and exchange, have financial transactions with each other, but within a network of other peers, so that everyone knows what has happened and everyone knows is able to, the transaction happens with a consensus. So a simple example is, for example, we are together in the blockchain network, and what happens is that everyone knows that I have $100. And then within the network, I say that, okay, I'm going to give $50 to someone, and I transfer that $50 to someone, and everyone on the blockchain network, this is a cryptocurrency example, everyone on the blockchain network is aware of that, validates that, verifies that, and then it becomes, that transaction gets added as a block to the chain of transactions, therefore blockchain. And after that, everyone on the blockchain network knows that now I have only $50 left. And this is the double spending problem that Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper was able to overcome, because there were many attempts at having transactions similar to cryptocurrencies earlier, electronic transactions and others, and digital coins and things like that. But the problem was of the double spend problem. I mean, I could say that I have $100 and then I spend some of it, no one else will know. But within a blockchain network, and the way the blockchain network operates, whenever I conduct any transaction, everyone on the blockchain network is able to understand what I have done, sees what I have done, knows what my balance is, and if it has been transferred to someone else on the network, knows what the updated balance is. So that's what Bitcoin did with the underlying blockchain technology. That is, it was able to replace financial institutions like bank with cryptography and code. Another example that I'm giving there is that, whenever you have to pay someone, for example, you pay. You bought a house on mortgage and you have to pay your bank. So what happens is you contact your bank, you log into your bank. From your bank, it goes to the other bank where you have taken your loan from your bank account to another bank's account. And this is where this financial institution, when enabling you to complete this transaction, also charges you fees for that. So what if you are able to do this directly? Okay, so blockchains have been known as distributed ledger technology, and what it has essentially done is it has replaced traditional databases. Now, traditional databases were under the control of someone, some institution. It was centralized, and the transactions there, the records there could be changed, and it was open to fraudulent activities. That means whoever had control of this database could also change the transactions, the funds, or whatever data was there. But with the blockchain or distributed ledger technology, that is not possible because it will only be done with the consensus within the network. The double spend problem I have already talked about is that, when if a transaction takes place, what happens is that everyone within your blockchain peer network knows exactly what transaction took place. It is validated, verified, there is consensus, there is trust and transparency. And people know that now you do not have that amount of money. They exactly know what amount of money you have and what you can do with it. And whoever has got, or whoever you have transferred money to, their ledger will get updated as well. So I'm not going to, I've already talked about that. So basically, getting into a more proper definition of blockchain, or what is blockchain technology. So according to Tapscott, the blockchain is an incorruptible digital ledger that is, as I said earlier, that records cannot be changed, right? Once a block of transactions is added to the chain of transactions, or added as a block, it cannot be changed because what happens is that to change that you need consensus, and after that the next block gets written, then the next block gets written. So to change the third block down the line, you have to undo the first, you have to undo the second, and that is virtually not possible. Well, it happens like, those that are aware of what happens in the cryptocurrency world, what they call the 51% attack, where, people on the blockchain network, if they get the majority of majority of shares within the blockchain network, that is more than 50%, which we say the 51% attack, they will be able to manipulate the blockchain network. But that is something else. So another way of looking at blockchain would be to think of a blockchain as a distributed database, and this database is not on a central computer controlled by someone, but it is on everyone's computer that is on the part of the blockchain network. Now, many people were talking about initially that what is happening is that, these blockchain transactions are going to become so large and it will require so much so much storage space. That is true, but that is for cryptocurrency transactions, not transactions in other domains, not transactions in other fields. But cryptocurrency transactions, because, for example, if you look at a bank's transactions, thousands of transactions takes place during a day. So thousands of records are written if the bank was on a blockchain network. So these thousands of records that are written, it will occupy a lot of storage, occupy a lot of space. Therefore, it is not possible to have it on everyone's computer system, and that's why we need network servers and things like that. But for transactions in other domains where like you have 10, 12 transactions a day, 20, 30, 50 transactions a day, they can easily fit onto everyone's computer system. So that's what a blockchain is. The blockchain is, in simple terms, that is a distributed database where once a transaction takes place, it is recorded, it is updated on everyone's database. And this information is continually reconciled. That is, as soon as a transaction takes place, everyone's database is updated. Everyone knows what has happened. Everyone is aware of all transactions that are taking place. So again, there is trust, there is transparency. The transactions are immutable and therefore cannot be corrupted. Okay, I keep on speaking ahead of my slides. So, as I said, immutable transactions and irreversible transactions. And here I'm looking, on this slide, I'm looking at an example from the cryptocurrency network, where you have miners and signers, and they are the ones, so whenever someone wants to do a financial transaction on a cryptocurrency blockchain network, so what they will do is they will broadcast that I would like to do this transaction. Is there anyone that can confirm this transaction? And in doing that, they get paid in cryptocurrencies, a fraction of cryptocurrencies, right? So what we have is blockchain miners. And what happens is that these miners, what they do is they run an algorithm based on the previous hash of the transaction and the records of the new transaction. And what they do is find the new hash, and whichever miner, people that are running these transactions to find the nonce value, whoever is able to do that first is able to add the transaction to the block of records or to the block of chains, and they get paid in a newly minted coin. Okay, so the thing to note here is no central authority to enforce rules. So might be good in many cases, but without regulation might not be very popular. As you know that by the end of 2017, when the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin especially, was gaining in momentum and gaining in value, by the end of 2017, one Bitcoin was equivalent to about 20,000 US dollars. And that's when many countries decided that they're not going to regulate, or Bitcoin is not regulated, and we are not going to do anything further with that. And there are many stories and conspiracy theories around that is what they are suggesting, that the main formal banking sector low with government. So it got deregulated in countries, major countries like India and many other countries. So that's when it crashed, because people were saying that, oh, we cannot, because it is in the hands of peers, we cannot regulate this currency. And that is when I shifted my research on blockchain to look at its application in other domains, not cryptocurrency. So as I said earlier, that blockchain is like databases. So what is wrong with our current databases, right? Simply, databases have one major constraint, which I've already mentioned, that they put the task of storing and updating entries in the hands of one or few entities. That is, someone else is in charge of your data, of the database, or the institution, or the organization, and they can change the records there. There has been a number of cases where people have gone and the transactions have changed, and then these databases can get hacked, right? So that is another story. Blockchain has been able to improve on this architecture, and it has removed the need for a trusted authority. And because it is managed by peers on the blockchain network, so again, there is trust and transparency, and a copy of the blockchain ledger is replicated and stays with all the peers on the blockchain network. So if it gets corrupted or it gets destroyed or spoiled on someone else's computer system, their copy is existing on everyone else. So let's look at some other applications of blockchains so far. So there have been blockchain browsers, blockchain storage networks, again, video and audio conferencing software, operating systems built on blockchains, social media networks built on blockchain, messaging apps built on blockchain, remote job apps built on blockchain. So what you can see is that what I'm talking about is nothing new at all. Blockchain has already been applied in many different domains apart from cryptocurrencies. So I think this is where, because of what has happened with Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies, and it is not regulated, and many people feel that it is a currency more suitable for the dark net or the underground transactions or illegal activities or whatever you have out there. So cryptocurrencies aside, what else can we use blockchains for? So as I mentioned, after, let's say, Bitcoin success or failure, it all depends according to your perspective, how you see that. What we are basically asking is, what else can blockchain automate? That is, where else can we remove a third party, an intermediary that is acting like a middleman and making money off us? Earlier, I gave an example of banks, right? If we want to do a transaction, if I want to pay you some money, I have to go through my bank to my account, and from there, make a transaction to your bank and to your account. And while I do that, I pay the bank fees, right? So here, Bitcoin came in riding on the blockchain network, and it was able to remove the middleman, that is the financial institution, and enable you to do a peer-to-peer cash transaction or peer-to-peer financial transaction. So we are asking, I mean, that is what my research is looking for, and that is what everyone out there that is involved with blockchain within the blockchain industry is looking for, is what other middleman or central authority can blockchain retire, or what else can we do to be able to come up with a solution? And if you are able to come with a solution, you have your next app, your next software solution, and you have hit the jackpot. For example, can blockchain find people offering rides, link them up with people who are trying to go somewhere, and give the two parties a transparent platform for payment? Does that sound familiar? Can a blockchain act as a repository and a replay platform for TV shows, movies, and other digital media while keeping track of royalties and paying content creators? That should sound familiar. Can a blockchain check the status of airline flights and pay travelers a previously agreed upon amount if the planes don't take off on time? And so you can see what has happened is that even though blockchain has not been used and these technologies came in earlier, but what these technologies, these apps like Uber, Netflix, and whatever you have out there has essentially done is removed the middleman, removed the third party, and has enabled us as customers to directly make contact and interact with service providers. So let's look at some real world examples, and I have many. Because at the moment, whatever you can think of as a researcher, whenever I think of, or how about we start using blockchain for this application, however, we apply blockchain over here, however, we do this with blockchain. But let me tell you, almost whatever I think of is already out there. So let's look at some. Land ownership and management already used by countries like Dubai, Sweden, Ukraine, Georgia, Ghana, states and counties in US, UK, and so forth. Development aid already being applied there. Supply chain management, huge applications of blockchain in supply chain management. I mean, fair trading, organic farming, and all that, diamond trading, giving farmers what they are worth, not using child labor, agricultural products, where you want to ensure that it is organic, pesticides and other things have not been used. Renewable energy, electricity grids, many examples over there. Remittances is another one, like blockchain wallet, TransferWise, BitSpark. Again, you are able to do transactions without paying the required remittances fee. Digital identity. This is where I mean at the moment almost everyone is scared about identity theft, online identity theft. So digital identity with all those applications out there. There's more. Agriculture, food traceability, fair trade farming, new markets, logistics, democracy, voting, decentralization of services, smart participation, some examples over there. Smart factories, smart manufacturing, all those examples over there. Health, huge applications in health, like whatever US used to have with the databases like electronic health records. Now they are being put onto blockchain networks, as I said earlier, because of trust, transparency, immutability, and so forth. Financial inclusions, microfinance, and so forth. Then we have retail, huge applications over there, carbon trading, climate change, environment, different examples, the applications developed with the United Nations waste reductions, plastic bank, and so forth, human rights, access to clean water, and cyber security. So you can see from my last 3 slides there almost any application you can think of, or any example you can think of, or anything else that you might want to ask the question, can blockchain be used for that, or can blockchain be used for this? Yes, most of it is already there, and blockchain has already been applied. Did I just go back? Okay, so as a researcher and from an academic's perspective, why? Probably the question to ask is, why should we focus our research on blockchains? And therefore, what is the potential for blockchain research? So there is what we say is the growth in the size of selected blockchain networks as measured by number of unique addresses participating in daily activities exhibits an exponential growth following Metcalfe's law. So the number of blockchain networks are not doubling, but it is squaring in size. So you can see that the industry and organizations and corporations, countries out there is getting onto and starting applying blockchain technology to most of the things. And then it is estimated that by 2022, the size of the blockchain market will be around 7.684 billion. And it will increase at an annual rate of 79.6%. So again, huge potential there. And according to the World Economic Forum, by 2025, 10% of the world's GDP, that is, we're looking at almost 100 trillion, maybe on blockchain. Now, looking at this is just a screenshot of if you go on Google Scholar and search for blockchain articles on blockchain, you can see you are hitting around like 256,000 results. So there is a lot of research going on in blockchain. Now, I did talk about cryptocurrencies and the banks thinking that if cryptocurrencies like Bitcoins, Ethereum, and other coins out there, if they get real and if they get applied seriously, then the banks might have problem. But the potential of these cryptocurrencies like Bitcoins and others has been realized by the banks, and almost all banks are thinking of using the blockchain network for the banking sector and for the financial transactions. So what I'm going to look at now, what I'm going to talk about now is my blockchain research focus. That is what I'm looking at the moment. As I said earlier, that whatever you think about has already been done, and then the question is, what is left? So, I mean, what you can do is replicate what has been done in terms of research within a different context or within a different environment, or you can do something differently, or you can take something existing and apply it differently using different technologies. So that sort of qualifies or is good enough for a research focus. So at the moment, what I'm looking at is, again, for supply chain management, there is smart contracts for autonomous supply chain management. And I thought about this when we went under a lockdown because of COVID-19. And because many of the current supply chain are operated or under the control and intervention of human beings, So when we were under lockdown and we couldn't go to our factories, we couldn't go open our business, and we couldn't do whatever we were normally doing, the supply chain got interrupted, and in some cases, the supply chain completely got stopped. And you would, I'm not sure where you are from, but in some cases, if your country was importing a lot of stuff that you were consuming, you would find that those stuff were not arriving anymore. And you might also read it in the news or watch it on TV because of the supply chain that has been interrupted, because in many countries, blockchain is still very much active and still affecting how people live and how people work, and they are still under lockdown. So the supply chain for over there has stopped, and you are not getting the consumer goods that you were getting previously, because people are not able to make that supply chain work, because it needs human intervention, and the factories are under lockdown, people are under lockdown. So what can happen is that this supply chain management, they become autonomous. That is, with blockchain smart contracts, they work on their own without human intervention. Okay, so I've already explained what is the potential for this research focus, because what we want is with the current pandemic and for any future pandemics and interruption, should it happen, our supply chain should not get affected. So if it is on a blockchain network and if it is autonomous, a fully automated supply chain management system running on blockchains, self-managed and monitored with smart contracts is a solution that can prevent any future disruptions. So that is something that our research can focus on and we can talk about. The next one that I would like to talk about is communication for transparency, trust, and integrity during pandemics and disasters. So what I'm saying here is that at the moment there is a distrust among the information providers. So you must have already heard that certain people in certain countries are saying that, oh, that country is not reporting correctly about the number of infections and how many have recovered. They're underreporting, or they're not providing the right information, and everyone else is going to suffer, and everyone else is going to infected. Certain people and certain presidents are saying that if certain countries had communicated earlier, the virus would have been contained within a certain country, and it wouldn't have been transmitted, because nowadays we live in a global environment, and we travel everywhere, and there is no virtually there is very less geographical borders, and the global economy, global transactions, and movement of people, movement of employees, workers, and so forth. So at the moment, what we can see is that, if you are traveling, then you have to go under a mandatory 14-day quarantine. Different countries have their own requirements. Different countries have their own testing system. So you need to get tested, you need to get certified, you need to provide documentation before you can travel. And when you arrive in another country, you have to get tested, you have to stay under quarantine and things like that. So what I'm suggesting, or what I'm thinking about, is putting all this information on a blockchain network. And as I said earlier, that information on a blockchain network is immutable, irreversible, and because it is within the peer network of currently different countries cross borders, so they can trust each other about this information, and so this country can certify that so and so is okay, and we have tested so and is free from any virus or infections. And what they can do is, with that certification, they can go across at the border. What will happen is, within the blockchain network, they will find the identification that so and so is been verified, certified to be virus free, and they can continue doing or continue going in to do whatever they were going in that country for in the first place. Another one is looking at currently what is happening. I mean, there are some skepticism about adoption of blockchain. Many organizations are reluctant because probably they do not understand or they do not know what the blockchain is about, what blockchain technology is about, how it works. And for other organizations, if it works, if it ain't broken, why fix it? So why do you go about changing whatever is already working for you? So this is about raising knowledge, awareness, looking at implementation, documenting successful use cases, talking about regulatory uncertainty, skills, and operability, and then looking at organizations that have already adopted blockchain, research with the technology acceptance models, or universal theory of acceptance and use of technology, and probably doing research on individual groups and organizations, as well as others in the IT industry, to find out what is stopping them, what are the barriers to blockchain adoption. Looking at other potential blockchain research ideas, as I said, huge applications in supply chain management. For example, multinational integration, that is supply chain management systems that span across a number of countries. For example, the country where you are importing your goods from, right from the raw materials from another country, manufacturing in another country, supplied in another country, logistics, and then finally to your country, the entire supply chain. Tracing products, automation of business process management, managing contracts, reliability and trust, connect disconnected networks, simplify complexities, product safety, being able to detect fake products, and transparency in removing corruption. The other thing that I would like to talk about on this slide is why would you be interested as an individual, or why your organization would be interested to join the blockchain network. So what motivates people to become or participate or become peers on a blockchain network, right? Cryptocurrencies, we have a clear answer. If you join a cryptocurrency network and if you are able to mine the transaction, you get paid with a newly minted coin. So that's your monetary reward. But the application that I'm looking at, there is no monetary reward. So what is the motivation there? Why would you want to be part of that blockchain network? Okay, so again, we can look at different theories, validate with the like theory of planned behavior, theory of reasoned action, or motivational models. It can also be used, it can also be applied to disintermediation. Therefore, the question is, can a blockchain platform or network connect customers directly to service provided with the same products or services? So at the moment we have what we say intermediaries or aggregators like hotels.com, Expedia, Agoda, Trivago, And what they do is they scrape information from hotel websites, and they provided us to a manner and criteria that we ask for. So can we have a blockchain network that is able to do that? And we can deal this blockchain network where the hotel owners and operators directly get onto the network, provide the information, and the blockchain network does what all these intermediaries or websites like hotels.com are doing. And finally, looking at some multidisciplinary blockchain research ideas, standardization of blockchains. Okay, as the development goes on, we will end up with too many blockchain platforms. So we need to come to an agreed standard and how we are able to interoperate amongst them. Okay, examples of some blockchain networks that already exist. Integration of theories, models, and frameworks. What theories, models, or frameworks are best suited to integrate blockchains as an intermediary in existing systems? So, I mean, organizations, countries, corporations already exist, already have their existing information systems, existing databases, and whatever else you have out there. So what can we use as a middleware that will integrate this existing system with blockchain networks? Because blockchain networks have a completely different underlying technology, a completely different underlying concepts. So what is the middleware? How can we integrate them? What are the intermediaries or systems that we can use? And therefore, we need to look at coming up with new frameworks, theories, and models, like the agency theory or formal methods of modeling. Looking at social media and user-generated content, how we can prevent fake profiles and fake news on social media, and ensure that user-generated contents are not altered. So at the moment, what is happening is, when you write a review on someone's website, or you write a review, because these websites are under control of the webmaster, web administrator, they can easily change that. Okay, and then there have been cases of fake profiles and fake news on social media and so forth. Okay, so I have rushed through that because I was looking at the time and we are almost 55 minutes into the hour. So I'm going to stop there and look at any questions or comments that you might have.
Thank you, Sam. That was a very nice talk and very informative. I learned a lot. We have a first questions posted in our chat window. This question is from Hiwan. And how can we apply computer vision for blockchain? Any suggestion?
Computer vision. That is something I haven't thought about. I mean, Hiwan Shrestha. Yes, unfortunately, there is something I still haven't thought about. Maybe you've given me a new research focus. So do share your email address with me. Let me do some investigation and I will get back to you. Sorry about that. But that's a good one. Yeah, okay, Himan, I've taken your email address.
If anyone else have please go ahead.
Hi, Sam. This is Sumit from Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask one question. This blockchain is sort of a new era coming now. Of course, before this, we had something like open source. There were software concept, it is proprietary. So people came up with, we should go with open source in order to get out of this. So I guess the same thing came up with blockchain at the Bitcoin example you gave, which is really a correct
Yeah.
example. That
Mm.
went to a wrong way now. Now governments are thinking, okay, the people who have invested on this so far, whatever the, $1 Bitcoin, now it is 20,000 dollar equivalent, which has been,
Mm.
if we get someone from my country, Sri Lanka, now to purchase something, so it is
Yeah.
totally going to someone else, which is not, should be, should not be the case as a country. So the country, from the country point of view, they have stopped it. So Bitcoin is out now, okay, unless, as you said, they go with a different strategy. So don't you
Mm.
think that we are supporting someone? I don't know, this might be a set of researchers or might be people who have already built the blockchain concept. So they are going to apply it to the whole world. Ultimately, it might be going somewhere wrong. Uh, Instead of, we have one set of trusted way of doing things. For example, in our countries, we have our own authorities formed. It might be the government, it might be the banks, it might be the central bank, or something like that. Yeah, there are corruption, or there are things going wrong on that. And ultimately, we are bringing totally something different. And then we might be giving an opportunity to someone else to take the control over it. Blockchain ultimately, though we say it is community driven, you can see
Mm.
that Bitcoin is not community driven. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
truth. So why don't you think that we are pushing people with this research or blockchain concept? We are pushing some people to unwanted area of trusted, which is not trusted at the moment. I'm a bit worried on that side. How we can address that part in this research context?
Uh, yeah, Sumit, in fact, at the moment, the biggest blockchain that is out there, the biggest blockchain technology that is out there that is currently being used and that is very popular is Ethereum. And Ethereum is open source. So at the moment, Ethereum is being used by others, and many new cryptocurrencies that have come up with the Ethereum is now they have used the open source Ethereum blockchain technology to come up with the new cryptocurrencies like Litecoin and others. So the major blockchain cryptocurrency, I mean, at the moment, the number one you have is still Bitcoin, and the number two is Ethereum. So it is on an open source platform, and that is a platform that is used by many researchers and many students to study about how the cryptocurrency network works and how cryptocurrencies operate. So there is a huge momentum at the moment, and Ethereum is doing very well. And what Ethereum has done is it has overcome the a few shortcomings of bitcoins. For example, Bitcoin was using uh, whoever was able to mine the cryptocurrencies, they were using the proof of work concept or proof of stake concept. But what Ethereum has done is it has changed, and now you are able to use like the Byzantine algorithms and things like that, and the amount of time it takes to mine these transactions is also reducing. So there are developments that is going on the open source side of the blockchain technology, and in time to come, like other technologies. For example, when we had cloud computing, people were saying that, oh, no one is going to care about cloud computing. It is just a passing phase, and we won't have its adoption. But look where cloud computing is now. I think blockchains will go down the same track because not only individuals, organizations, and corporations, countries are getting onto the blockchain network. And I think this technology has the potential because of some of its unique capabilities.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. This is
Thank you.
Tom. Actually, in connection with Mr. Sumit's question, I have an observation, and I want to know your opinion about that. That some people, blockchain is a technology, and cryptocurrency is just use application of
Yeah.
blockchain. And
Yes.
whenever people talk about blockchain, people mess up with cryptocurrency.
I know. I know.
So there is a big difference in
Yes.
that. So blockchain itself is a technology and it
Yeah.
solves some problem that is different than normal database system.
Yeah.
So that is one complete a technology thing. And
Yes. Yes. Of course.
using that application, people are using cryptocurrency and all other things. So this is one thing. What is that? Why people always mess up with these two things, just application and the blockchain concept? This is my first question. And my second question is, using blockchain, how can actually we, uh, the current in current world, misinformation for the COVID or the US election, there are a lot of misinformation, and Twitter, Facebook, they are just, even presidents tweet, they are just labeling it, it's misinformation. So actually, how could we fight with misinformation using blockchain technology? I want to know your opinion.
Okay. So your first question is, people only talk about Bitcoins because that's how it started. When in 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto wrote that white paper suggesting a peer-to-peer coin called Bitcoin, people just got that. And Bitcoin became very famous. No one wanted to know the underlying technology on which this cryptocurrency or this Bitcoin was operating. So they were only interested in the coin, and because at that time not many technical people were involved, and not many people were talking about the technology. Everyone was talking about the coin, that is the application of the technology, that is the Bitcoin. So what happened was that so when people were talking about blockchain, because at that time only one coin existed, Bitcoin, they meant Bitcoin. And when they were talking about Bitcoin, and at that time only Bitcoin was using blockchain, they meant blockchain. So until today, there is confusion. People use it interchangeably. But as I talked in my presentation, that the underlying technology, the technology is the blockchain. And on that, now people are, sort of talking about that there is not only Bitcoins, there's so many coins out there, hundreds of coins out there. There is Ethereum, there is Litecoin, there's Ripple, and hundreds of coins that you can think of. So now people are realizing, but again, among the common people, again, amongst people that do not understand, they think that blockchain and Bitcoin is the same because that's how it all started, and it is interchangeable, but it is not, because blockchain, as you said correctly, is a technology. And on this technology, we can develop many things. We can develop cryptocurrencies, and I've shown examples of many applications that have been developed. Going to your second question about misinformation on social media, misinformation on information posting and things like that, you would see that at the moment, Twitter is labeling President Donald Trump's tweets as this is not verified, or I'm not sure. I mean, Twitter is tagging the tweets that this information is not verified, or this information is not trusted because he's making claims about elections, frauds, and things like that. So again, if social media like Twitter and others, news media, they start using the blockchain network. So what happens is the information that will go onto the network will only go there under the consensus of everyone else. Like, you have, if you are in blockchain groups and you post something, it goes to the moderator and the moderator accepts it, and then it appears for everyone else. So blockchain technology could be used something like that, but it will be faster. It won't, if you enable it with smart contracts, or if you enable it with algorithms and um, uh, other intelligence like artificial intelligence, it will be able to sort it out itself and would not need human intervention. And based on its algorithms and its intelligence, it will decide, and it will only publish those information, those postings that has been sort of verified among the network.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. Yang, all these chats, I will be able to get these chats later?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I can share with you. And also, Grandpa told me share the comment with you. Grandpa, that's very like a.
Yeah, so these are the comments that I want to interact with later on.
Yeah, and then Kamar asked a question. Here, can we have more details, examples about the automation of BPM, area focus, and the use of blockchain and smart contract technologies?
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the question, Kamal. So, I mean, again, business process automation. So already within business process automation, you will have a number of rules on how you are going to automate your business processes, and what are the principles that your organization is going to follow, what are the rules, what are the requirements, and everything else. So what you are going to do is you are going to enter all this within your smart contracts, and what your smart contract is going to do under the control of the blockchain network is it is going to look at your business processes, and while automating them, it is going to take all your rules and regulations and your requirements, other contracts, existing contracts, and whatever else into consideration, and then it will decide how to automate and what to do, while taking into consideration all the different requirements of the shareholders, the stakeholders, and the users of that business process.
Yes, Sam, thanks for your explanation. Unless there are some other question, I would like to elaborate on the point I wanted to highlight in this case. You are quite correctly said. Blockchain is a technology, Bitcoin is an application of it, and that has gone to a one-way success, but on the other way, a failure case. So my concern is, if we implement it on another domain, as you have quite correctly said, and if we have to say after 1 or 2 years we have gone to the same mistake or same wrong thing we have done, that is what we want to identify and correct in our solutions to be implemented. So in Bitcoin application, yes, we now understand, and we are putting it as research. That is a wrong way of application. Oh, I mean, it should not say wrong, but a way of application which was not intended by the blockchain technology, and the governments are taking their step back, and they are protecting themselves out not to go to Bitcoin. So in the same way, will it happen to other cases as well? So how we can make sure that is not happening? And as a company or as a country, how we should take care of these things is what I'm firstly intended to get out of you, because you have done enough researches on that side. So that is my first thing. Second thing is, from the technology point of view, so blockchain, if we use it wrong, again it can go wrong. That is what actually we have seen. So what about, when we are talking about avoiding fake content in the internet, what we say is we are asking, someone to authorize it from the network, which is again can be done without blockchain. We don't want blockchain to do that, right? In Facebook or in any other social network, there are certain networks we are allowing this. So it's not something very specific to blockchain. With existing technology also can do it. So I'm just trying to clear out these 2 points. Instead of blockchain, we can use any other existing technology, can't we? That is first question. Second thing, yes, blockchain is a really good technology, but it can go wrong if we do it, if we use it in the wrong way. So how we can make that thing clear for us in this technology?
Okay, so let me start off by, probably I did not touch on that earlier, is that there are 3 types of blockchain. So you have public blockchain, open to everyone. You have private blockchain, closed within an organization or within a set of peers within an organization or within a network. And then there is a hybrid blockchain, right? And apart from that, what we called it, the permission ledger and non-permission ledger. That is permission ledger, anyone within the blockchain network is able to write and add blocks to the chain. And the non-permission ledger, only a few people, a few delegated, authorized people appointed within the blockchain network is able to write 8 blocks to the chain. Now, each organization, corporation, government, or whatever is out there needs to look at its requirement. In most cases, they don't need blockchains. For example, if they need their data to not be seen by others, validated by others, or shared by others, then they shouldn't go onto the blockchain network. They shouldn't be on the blockchain network. But if they need their data to be shared, to be made transparent, to be trusted, then they should go on a blockchain network. So to use this technology, organizations need to evaluate whether this technology is suitable for them. And as I said there, that you can have variations of this technology. You can have a public blockchain, a private blockchain, or a hybrid one, open to certain people, closed to certain people. And based on this, these decisions, each organization, each individual will evaluate whether they need to go onto the blockchain network or not. As I said, at the moment, there is more research to be taken. What are the barriers to blockchain adoption? Because the general feeling is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So if at the moment everything is fine and is working with your current databases, there's no reason to get into a blockchain network. But if you are having problems of being transparent, if you are having problems of trust, and if your databases, it's getting corrupted, it's getting changed, there's no integrity, then probably you should move on to a blockchain network.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Sam. Please
Thank
proceed.
you.
Hello, sir. This is Jiten.
Hey, Jitan, how are you?
Sir, fine, sir. Sir, there is one question. Sir, it is related to the immutability of feature of the blockchains, where the data cannot be changed if you have once entered it. But will happen, like in the case of the Honduras, where all the land registry systems were going on the blockchain and all the data was going on the blockchain. If let's say if some official makes some mistakes, or number of officials make some mistake, will there not be enough garbage created on the database rather than the true database? Means if you cannot change the data when due to the immutability feature, then you have to add an extra block. Then those blocks that have been discarded, that will create a large chunk of garbage. So is there any what will be the remedy for that? That rather than creating a large chunk of garbage, we are having a clean data space in the storage system, not the data storage system is getting full of garbage. I think you got my point.
Yes, Jiten. I think this is where, the consensus that I was talking about on the blockchain network will come in. So what you are talking about is a typical example of a blockchain that operates on the cryptocurrency network. There is whoever mines it first. That is people are racing, competing with each other to mine the cryptocurrency blockchain network first to be able to add the record and then get rewarded with a newly minted coin. But in other applications, for example, in your organization, what will happen is before the record is being added, it will have a consensus. So this consensus will involve proofreading, checking, everyone agreeing, everyone assuring that it is the correct record. And now let's add it to the block. So I think that's where the consensus part of the blockchain network within your organization will be able to add it. And again, currently at the moment, for example, in your organization with your existing databases, not everyone is writing into the database. Not everyone is validating and updating the database. There is a few responsible people, and it goes through a process where people verify it, validate it, and then someone authorizes it. Okay, it gets recorded. So something like that, the consensus part of the blockchain network should take care of it.
Actually, in India, there was a system of generating the Aadhaar cards where the people's digital identities were created at every spot. So if, let's say, in that scenario, we have been using blockchains, that at that very spot, at the very primary level, the data will be automatically stored on the blockchains. So the government has deployed number of persons, means that were the front task forces. But let's say they are not that much friendly with the technology, or they are not that friendly with the computer use also. They are merely the operators and having a primary education, and let's say they are only low levels of computer education, and let's say they make some mistake at the data entry point, and this operation was on a very huge level. Even if let's say 3 or 100 people make a mistake, then they are creating more data garbage, because it is taking a block is created by block through block through block. So the let's say there are 100 participants. The second participant creates a mistake, then the same data is being translated to the 100th participant. So this whole chain is being wasted if the second participant has made certain mistakes. So if we are going for a say something that is going to take place at a larger scale, then in that scenario, I think it will be mistake means it will create lot of garbage. So yesterday I was reviewing a paper on Rohingya migrants also, and it was also, so you must have gone through that e-Rohingya website where the Rohingya migrants their identity is being secured through blockchain. So in that case also, only the front task force, if that is not very much educated about the complexities involved in blockchain, then I thought that it will be more garbage than a true database.
Yeah, I mean, so again, this is a use case example. So probably blockchain is not the ideal technology to be used in such case with such operators that are bound to make mistakes. clearly blockchain is not a good technology to use, because once the records are written, it becomes immutable and it cannot be overwritten. But there, as I said, there are variations of blockchain network, like the permissioned and the public one that will enable you to do that. Going back to my earlier suggestion that, for each application, you need to check what are your requirements, what you want to do with the blockchain. If there is errors will be made, a lot of changes are needed, then blockchain technology is probably not the way to go. And we will discuss more about that later, Jiten.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yang,
Yes.
you want to wrap it up?
And then we have a question from Glenn. Didn't UNESCO looking at how blockchain can assist to work with the refugees? I'm interested in blockchain for good examples.
Come again? I'm trying to find that.
Glenn, can you please unmute yourself and make a comment, a question? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, Glenn, you can unmute and then ask a question. Please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. It's Glenn McKnight here.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi. Yeah, I remember meeting people in Bangkok about a year or so ago when I was at an ISOC board meeting, and these guys were doing basically blockchain for the unbanked. The number of people that are not, they will never be part of the normal banking system. So they were based in Bangkok. But I'm curious on whether, first of all, your journal, whether or not you're going to be possibly looking at a series of articles reaching out to people or organizations such as UNESCO or this group in Bangkok, which actually implemented successfully these practices of using blockchain for good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Glenn. Of course, in my journal, in the International Journal of Blockchain and Cryptocurrencies, published by IndeScience Publishers, I'm accepting any type of articles that deal with technologies. In this case, as you mentioned, microfinance, and there is huge applications of again, the cryptocurrency part of the blockchain, or where blockchain technology is used for finance, huge applications in microfinance, in banking, and in remittances. And as I said, that removing the third party that makes money of two parties trying to do a financial transaction is going to help, because what is going to happen is that it is going to reduce the cost. And like when you are remitting funds, a portion of that would not be deducted as fees.
I think we covered all the questions raised so far. Sam, thank you very much. It was a really great talk, and then we had a really good discussions. And do you want to say anything?
Hello, Sam, sir.
Hi, Chandra Mohan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you, Professor? Happy Diwali.
Same to you, same to you.
Yeah, thank you. So just I have only one few question. Suppose nowadays machine learning and AI just keep growing. So like suppose this blockchain technology, whether two different domain like blockchain and then machine learning. So whether we can able to integrate this thing to solve any real world problems, like how can we do anything? Can you give any suggestions?
Yeah, in fact, I will send you an invitation later. Yeah, I'm already working on a book where I'm looking at the convergence of blockchain technologies with artificial intelligence. Blockchain in many cases uses smart contracts. So at the moment, these smart contracts are programmed with algorithms that we write as developers of this blockchain network, blockchain technology. So what I'm suggesting, or what we can look on in terms of machine learning in artificial intelligence, that these smart contracts, while interacting, while operating, and while executing different transactions, they are able to learn themselves from other smart contracts and from transactions, and sort of rewrite the smart contracts, or to sort of develop and update the smart contracts to take different transactions, different agreements, and different contracts into consideration. So there's huge opportunities of the blockchain technology will become more powerful, will become more versatile, flexible with all its capabilities once we integrate or we converge it with machine learning in artificial intelligence. So yeah, looking forward to you to submit a few papers there, chapters,
Yeah.
few chapters there.
Yes, sure.
Thank you,
Yeah, sure,
Chandramohan.
sure. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Yang, there is a lot of things in the chat message that I would like to respond to. So we'll wrap it up, and I will get all the questions that you have asked and your email addresses, and I will get all the information, and I will respond to you individually. Thank you for being here, especially if you are from India and Fiji, and you are celebrating this Hindu festival of Deepavali. Happy Diwali for you, and thank you for taking your time and for being here. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, everyone. Our next webinar will be on December 5th, Tokyo time, same time, and then we will send out invitation for that webinar too. Thank you.
And Yang, please invite all of them to join our IPNG network and be part of us. We have had some academics attending as well, and they're welcome to speak and do a webinar like this.
Yes, please leave your email if you want to be included in APNG event mailing list.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Happy Diwali, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks a lot.